Good evening, everyone. This is Chef Lakai again with a Low Country special, which is a Low Country boil with a twist. It's actually a jerk Low Country boil. For those of you who don't know, jerk is a seasoning that's specifically found in the Caribbean. It's composed of allspice, Scotch bonnet peppers, garlic, fresh thyme, and other herbs and spices. Each island has its own variation of this. This is my take on it. Now, first I have some shrimps and lobster tails that have been marinated in some jerk seasonings for overnight. And I'm gonna bake these actually. This is smoked sausage that I just cut up, some fresh corn, actually 2 ears because I'm cooking for 2 people. And I cut those up as well. Some little mini red potatoes. And this is onions, lemons, garlic, celery. And this is a mixture of seasonings that I'm gonna put in my boil. This seasoning mix consists of dry jerk seasonings, Old Bay seasoning, garlic powder, onion powder, black pepper, to name a few, some Old Bay, I think I said that. Okay. First we're gonna add our seasonings. That's a mixture of Old Bay, garlic powder, onion powder, dry jerk seasonings, and some all-purpose seasonings also. So we're gonna add that to our water. You wanna make sure you season your water. And it looks like a lot, but this is a lot of water. You wanna make sure that you have enough to season the potatoes and corn as they're boiling. Next, we're gonna add our celery, our lemon, garlic, and our onions. We're gonna add that in to the hot boiling water. To the boiling water, with the lemon slices, I'm actually gonna put 2 fresh lemon squeezed in the water as well. So I have my lemon pressed, squeezing some fresh lemon juice in there. Again, we're gonna do 2 of them because we want to make sure that this water is very flavorful before I add the corn and the potatoes and the sausage. So to our boiling water that's been seasoned, we're gonna first add the corn to the boiling water, and we're gonna let that cook for about 10 minutes before we add the potatoes. We wanna make sure everything is gonna cook separately but all together because we wanna make sure that the corn is cooked properly. So first we're gonna add that, and then I'll be back in 10 minutes to add the potatoes. Okay, so the corn has been boiling for about 10 minutes now. So now we're gonna add our red potatoes and our sausage. And I'm gonna put the shrimp and lobster tails in the oven at 350 degrees until they turn slightly pink. You don't wanna overcook the shrimp because it'll be rubbery if you do. So I'm going to add my potatoes. All right. I'm going to add my sausage as well. It looks like a lot of sausage, but we actually love sausage though. And after I add this in, we're gonna let it cook for another 10 minutes or so until the potatoes are tender and the sausage is cooked through. So there you go. Typically in a Low Country boil, this is when people would, after that 10 minutes, they would add their shrimps. But I found that if you put it in the oven and bake it, it comes out just as good and it still has that bite to it. And I prefer it that way. So I'm gonna add the lobster and the shrimp that's been seasoned with some jerk seasonings and seafood seasonings, Old Bay, and there's some herb butter that I'm putting in the oven. And we're gonna bake it at 350 degrees for approximately 10-15 minutes, at least until the shrimps are completely pink in color and the lobster tails have a little bounce to it. Okay, so it's about 10-12 minutes or so. The shrimp and lobster tails, and you can tell the lobster is done because it starts to separate from the shell. So it's nice and firm. The shrimps colors have changed. Everything is nice, and as you can see, the butter has melted completely, which is gonna give a lot of flavor to our low country boil, jerk low country boil, seafood boil. And I'm also gonna melt some butter with some of that seasoning that we had left, and some lemons, and we're gonna add that on top of our boil as well. At this point, I'm gonna move the shrimps over next to the lobster because the seafood boil is about to come out the pot. So I'm giving some space so I can put the potatoes and the corn and the sausage and all that delicious butter that has melted, the jerk herb butter that will give a lot of flavor to the seafood boil. So I'm just pushing the shrimps over, and you can tell that the boil is ready because the sausage has risen to the top, so has the corn and the potatoes. That lets you know that the boil is ready. So at this point, I'm gonna use this, and I'm gonna pull them out, and I'm gonna stick them in the shrimps and the lobster sauces. So basically what I'm trying to do is not take out all the lemon and the onions. I'm just trying to get the sausage and the potatoes and the corn out. So of course some of it is gonna come out, but that's the plan anyway. So, and when I return, I'm gonna have everything plated. No, actually when we return, I'm gonna do the melted butter, the melted butter that goes on top of the seafood boil as well. Okay. Well, I'm about to make some butter that goes over the seafood, the jerk seafood boil. In my hand, I have 1 stick of unsalted butter, and you always want to make sure that it's unsalted because the seasoning has tons of salt and pepper and other herbs. So we want to make sure that it's unsalted. Then we're going to add that in to the butter, and we're going to twist it. You want to make sure everything is melted. We don't want the butter to burn, so that's why I'm keep moving it, because I want it to melt, come at a complete melt, but I don't want it to burn. When it's finished, I'm going to squeeze a lime, or lemon actually. I'm going to squeeze some lemon into it because citrus always goes really well with seafood, and it just is the same flavors that I used in the boil. So that is almost completely melted. As you can see, the butter is almost completely melted with the seasonings. So okay, so turn it off. Alright, so here you go, the butter is completely melted. Put it off. Now as the butter is melted, we're gonna add some fresh lemon juice to it. I did half of one. I think that's good enough. So there we go.
In the future, don't use the word I think.
Okay. So that's gonna be good enough. Then I'm gonna take it over to my completed boil. Spoon some of this deliciousness over the lobster, some over the corn, And there you go. Jerk seafood boil. You can taste the jerk seasoning. You can taste the lemon for sure. And the other seafood seasonings. Absolutely delicious. Please remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button. And please share with your friends. Thanks again.